Good evening, my shadowed souls, and welcome to another chilling chapter of Violet Nocturne's Echoes of the Dark. Tonight, I ask you to lean in closely. Feel the caress of the dark as I weave a tale spun from forbidden threads, a story that challenges the line between creation and destruction. This is the legend of the Forbidden Loom. Imagine, if you will, a reclusive artisan named Alara, the name not yet buried in obscure history, but rather whispered behind trembling lips among craft circles. Alara was the kind of weaver who seemed capable of stitching life itself into her tapestries. Her works were not just art, they were alive, breathing, pulsing, almost whispering as if the threads carried secrets too dark for ordinary mortals to hear. Her studio, perched on the outskirts of a forgotten village, was an enigma. Few dared to enter its crumbling walls draped in eternal shadow, where the faint hum of her ancient loom could be heard even before the first cock's crow. Alara herself was no ordinary craftsperson. She claimed her loom, an ominous relic of midnight oak, was a gift from the shadows, a creation of infernal hands. Many laughed, dismissing her as mad, but no one laughed for long, because those who mocked Alara soon noticed strange things. Shadows that clung too closely, whispers in the corners of rooms, and in time, a crippling melancholy that consumed them whole. Alara believed her loom could capture not just the likeness of her subject, but their very essence. She called this technique thread binding, and she justified it as her artistic sacrifice. But what price did she pay? What toll did her subjects endure? You see, her creations, these so-called masterpieces, had a sinister flaw. The subjects of her art began to fade, first in memory, and then in existence. Her clientele was exclusive but eclectic: noblemen, poets, and scholars. Each left her workshop stunned by her work, yet somehow less than they were. A few suspected something strange was afoot, but who could prove that their fading joy, or their loved one's forgetfulness, came from a piece of fabric? You can dismiss shadows, but not for long when they linger behind the edges of the light, waiting. One day, a man named Victor, a historian, learned in forgotten secrets, arrived unbidden at the studio. He had one request: weave the tapestry that would immortalize him. Alara hesitated. Something told her this man knew more than he revealed. His sharp eyes were like daggers that peeled back her glossy facade to expose the corruption within. But pride, oh, pride, a demon of its own kind, spurred her forward. For weeks, she wove under moonlight's malign glow, crafting not just Victor's vision, but his soul, his fears, his dreams, thread by a cursed thread. He visited her workshop as she worked, fascinated by the void black threads she plucked from thin air, unnerved by the murmuring emanating from the loom itself. Together, they watched the tapestry grow, layer by spectral layer, until finally, it was complete. And oh, how it glowed, with life and agony intertwined. Victor stood before it, breathlessly entranced, but the spell of admiration was short-lived as he suddenly screamed, his shadow writhing unnaturally, sucked toward the loom. Alara watched in horror as Victor's form convulsed. His screams faded, but never quite disappeared. They seemed to echo within the tapestry. She clutched at her chest as her craft devoured him whole, leaving nothing but a shallow, unholy etching of his figure into the threads. Panicked, she tried to reverse it, but the loom, that blessed and cursed contraption, bound her fingers into its splintered wood. It was alive now, a vile predator disguised as a craftsman's tool. Every fabric she had ever crafted whispered together like a cruel choir, depriving her of sleep, of peace, of humanity. Soon, Alara herself faded into obscurity, as the ominous hum of the loom sang a dirge all on its own. They say the tapestry survives, hidden away in forgettable antique shops, or locked by the paranoid wealthy in vaults meant to guard against its malicious energy. But beware. If you happen upon an elaborately crafted tapestry that seems too vivid to be real, resist the urge to touch it. The forbidden loom always hungers, and its threads demand new essence to sustain their dreadful beauty. Some say those who gaze long enough into its woven depths feel as though unseen eyes watch them back. You feel it too now, don't you? A thread tightening around the fragile essence of your own soul? Or perhaps that's just your imagination. Or is it? I'll leave that for you to decide. As the shadows draw their veil once more, I invite you to linger on this thought. How much of yourself would you give for eternal beauty, and what part of you would linger behind? Until next time, my dear shades, when the dark echoes call us back once more. Good night, and take care to avoid shadows that whisper.